Hey there, deep divers. Ready to dive into a topic that's, well, kind of flows through all of us.
Absolutely. Blood pressure is something we hear about all the time, but how much do we really know?
That's what we're here to uncover today. We're going deep on blood pressure, especially how it changes as we age.
Should be fascinating.
It really is. We've got some great sources lined up. Johns Hopkins Medicine, Medical News Today, Health Hero, even the Heart Research Institute. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's start with the basics. What exactly is blood pressure?
You know, it's interesting we toss that term around, but essentially it's the force of your blood pushing against your artery walls. Imagine your arteries as these highways, and your blood is the traffic flowing through.
So the higher the traffic, the more pressure on those roads.
Exactly. And just like rush hour versus late at night, there are two key numbers we look at. Systolic pressure, that top number, measures the pressure when your heart's working hard, contracting, pumping blood out.
Okay, so that's the peak pressure. What about that bottom number?
That's diastolic pressure. It measures the pressure when your heart relaxes between beats. So it's like the baseline pressure in those arteries.
So reading like 12E80, that means 120 is the systolic, 80 is the diastolic.
Exactly. Though it's worth remembering, these numbers aren't set in stone. Your blood pressure fluctuates naturally throughout the day. Lower when you're relaxed, higher when you wake up, or even if you're stressed or exercising.
So it's more about the pattern and how it changes, not just a single number.
Right, and one of the trickiest things is high blood pressure is often called a silent killer. You might not have symptoms until it's become a serious problem.
That's scary. It's not like a cough or a sneeze telling you something's up.
Exactly. Makes regular checkups even more important, especially as we age.
Which brings up a common thought. Doesn't blood pressure just automatically go up as we get older?
Ah, that's where it gets interesting. It's true, it often does rise with age, but it's not a guarantee. And the way it changes across our lifespan is pretty fascinating.
All right then, let's break it down. Where do things stand at different life stages? All right, so we're talking blood pressure across a lifetime. Where does it even begin? With babies.
Yep, let's start at the very beginning. For newborns, Health Hero says the average blood pressure is something like 60 to 90 over 20 to 60 millimeter Hg.
Those numbers are so small. Why so low for those little ones?
Isn't it wild? Their circulation is still getting going. Those tiny bodies don't need as much force to move blood around.
Makes sense. So as they grow up, what changes?
As babies become toddlers, then those crazy adolescents, the numbers gradually go up. Bigger bodies, hearts get stronger, blood vessels lengthen, all needing a bit more pressure to keep things moving. By the teenage years, it's closer to what we think of as normal for adults, around 112 to 128 over 66 to 80, roughly speaking.
So we hit adulthood, things level out.
You'd think, right? But this Heart Research Institute data, it gets really interesting. Turns out, men and women, not exactly the same averages.
Wait, really? Never knew that. What's the difference?
So between 18 and 39 years old, men tend to be a bit higher than women. We're talking 1970 for men, on average 1168 for women.
Huh, interesting. Any reason why?
There are theories, of course. Hormones likely play a part, and men often have larger hearts, bigger blood vessels that could contribute. But then, as we hit our 40s and 50s, everyone creeps up a bit. Women, 40 to 59, averages 122.74. Men are at 124.77.
Still pretty close, though. What about the 16 over group? That's when we hear blood pressure is a bigger deal, right?
You're right, the averages do jump up again there. Women 60 and older, it's around 132.99.68. Men, 133.69.
Okay, yeah, those are definitely higher. So does that mean once you're older, high blood pressure is just inevitable?
That's the thing, it's not. This is key. Normal blood pressure for adults, it doesn't actually change with age. Just because the averages are higher doesn't mean it's unavoidable.
Well, that's a relief. But if it's not just age, what's making those numbers go up as we get older then?
Few things at play. One is our arteries, those blood highways. They naturally stiffen up over time. It's all about elasticity, the ability to stretch and bounce back. Like imagine an old rubber band compared to a new one. As we age, we lose some of that, makes it harder for blood to flow smoothly, so up goes the pressure.
So it's like trying to force the same amount through a narrower pipe takes more force.
Exactly. But, and this is important, it's not a given that you'll develop high blood pressure just because you age. There are things we can do to keep those arteries healthy and flexible. Johns Hopkins Medicine mentions a study where lifestyle changes helped 40% of older adults with hypertension get off their blood pressure meds.
Wow, so it's not all downhill after a certain point. But besides just getting older, what else affects our blood pressure? We hear about this stuff all the time.
Oh, lifestyle is huge, G. What you eat, How much you move, even how you handle stress, all of it plays a part.
So that saying, you are what you eat, it's true here too.
100%. Diet high in salt, saturated fat, processed foods that can shoot your blood pressure up, but a diet with lots of fruits, veggies, whole grains that can help lower it. Think of it this way: potassium, which you find in lots of fruits and veggies, it actually helps your body get rid of extra sodium, and that can contribute to high blood pressure. And exercise. That's like magic for your blood vessels, keeps them flexible and healthy.
Okay, so what we eat, how much we move, it all matters. But can't forget those other usual suspects, smoking and alcohol.
Yeah.
They seem to pop up in every health conversation.
Rightfully so. Smoking, that damages your arteries, directly raises blood pressure, and too much alcohol, same deal.
Yeah, healthy choices. Healthy choices. We've talked lifestyle, but what about our genes? Can you inherit high blood pressure?
Absolutely. Family history is a biggie. If you've got close relatives with it, your risk goes up, no doubt, like a blueprint passed down.
Genetics playing a role. It's like nature and nurture both matter. What you inherit and how you live.
Nailed it. And let's not forget other health conditions. Diabetes, kidney disease, high cholesterol. Those can all lead to higher blood pressure too, like a domino effect.
Oh, and medical news today mentioned something interesting. Women might experience blood pressure changes earlier than men.
Right. There's this 2020 study suggesting women might see those shifts sooner, especially around menopause. Really highlights why early awareness and intervention is so key for women.
Huh, that is interesting. Wonder if it's the hormonal changes during menopause that play a part.
Great question. That study didn't say for sure, but it's definitely possible. Hormones can definitely mess with blood pressure, and menopause is a time of major hormonal shifts.
It's like our bodies are these crazy complex puzzles, all these pieces affecting blood pressure. So it's clear lots of things can make blood pressure go up or down.
Yeah.
But what's the big deal if it is high long term? We hear about the risks, but what's actually going on?
Well, we've said it before, high blood pressure, it's called the silent killer for a reason. And those risks, they're no joke.
So let's talk about those risks. What kind of damage are we talking about if someone has high blood pressure for a long time?
Basically, it puts this constant strain on your heart and blood vessels. Like imagine a car engine, constantly redlining it. Something's got to give eventually. Medical news today, they list heart disease, heart attacks, strokes. Those are the big ones.
Yeah, those are serious, serious stuff. And those stiffer arteries we talked about before, I'm guessing that doesn't help matters.
Exactly. High blood pressure makes all that worse. Like forcing a ton of water through an old, narrow pipe. That much pressure, it can damage the pipe itself, then you've got even more problems.
And the damage doesn't stop there, does it? There are other things high blood pressure can lead to.
Right, unfortunately. Heart failure, that's a big one where your heart can't pump blood effectively anymore. And there's peripheral artery disease. That's where blood flow to your limbs gets messed up, can cause pain, even lead to amputation in some cases. And then there's aortic aneurysms, kidney disease, even higher risk of vascular dementia, which affects your thinking, your memory.
Wow, so it's like this whole chain reaction of potential health problems. Definitely not something to ignore.
Definitely not. But the good news is there's a lot we can do about it. Preventing and managing high blood pressure, even as we age, it's totally possible.
Okay, so let's get into it. What can people do to keep their blood pressure in a healthy range?
Think of it like this. You've got a toolbox full of strategies, and the most powerful ones, lifestyle changes.
I like that. So what's in this toolbox? What kind of lifestyle changes are we talking about here?
Johns Hopkins Medicine, they're big on maintaining a healthy weight. Even losing a little bit can make a difference for your blood pressure.
Right, less weight, your heart doesn't have to work as hard to pump blood around. Like they say, prevention is the best medicine.
100%. And along with weight, that heart-healthy diet, it's crucial. Cutting back on salt, saturated fat, sugar, all that. Load up on those fruits, veggies, whole grains. I tell people, think of your plate like a rainbow. More colorful it is with fruits and veggies, the better.
So basically the same good advice we hear for overall health applies here too. It's all connected.
Exactly. Regular exercise, quitting smoking if you do, cutting back on alcohol, all those things have a big impact. Oh, and don't underestimate stress management. Things like meditation, deep breathing, even just taking time to relax, that can do wonders for your blood pressure too.
Easy to forget how much stress affects the body.
It's huge. Now, besides those healthy lifestyle things, we got to talk about medication too.
Right, because sometimes lifestyle alone isn't enough, is it?
Exactly. That's where medication can be a lifesaver, literally. Now, Johns Hopkins Medicine, they say doctors often start with those lifestyle changes, especially if someone's blood pressure is only a little high at first.
So it's not like, here's a prescription right away. They want to see what you can do on your own first.
Right. But if that's not enough, there are different medications that can help. Diuretics, for instance, they help your body get rid of extra water and sodium, through your pee, little plumbers for your system.
Okay, now that's an image. What about other types of medications for blood pressure?
Well, there are beta blockers. They slow down your heart rate, so less force pushing the blood. ACE inhibitors, those are interesting. They're like traffic controllers for your blood vessels, help them relax, widen up so blood flows easier.
It's amazing how targeted these medications are. Like, each one has a specific job to do.
It's true. Oh, and can't forget about home blood pressure monitors. Being able to check at home, that helps people stay on top of things, even between doctor's appointments.
It's powering. People can take charge of their own health a little more.
Totally. And it helps you see if those lifestyle changes are working, gives you info to talk to your doc about. And speaking of doctors, got to emphasize regular checkups are key. Over 40, any risk factors once a year at least. And if you notice sudden changes or it's always high, don't wait, call your doctor, okay?
It's wild. Something as seemingly basic as blood pressure, it's connected to so much in our health.
It really is. But key takeaway, even though it naturally changes as we get older, high blood pressure, it's not a guarantee just because you age.
I love that. Okay, as we wrap up our deep dive on blood pressure, what are the big things you want our listeners to remember?
First off, knowledge is power, right? Knowing your numbers, knowing the risks, that's how you take control. Second, lifestyle, it matters at any age. And finally, any doubts, any questions, talk to your doctor. Don't be afraid to advocate for your own health.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And for our listeners, here's a thought to chew on. We've seen we can influence our blood pressure, so what's one small change you can make today, starting right now, to support your heart health as you age? It all adds up.
It really does. And remember, research is always moving forward. Places like the Heart Research Institute, they're doing amazing work, so there's always hope, always new discoveries on the way.